So, it's been a pretty crazy year, hasn't it? First, Australia caught on fire, then the virus hit, and the whole world went into lockdown. It's just been downhill ever since. Hold on a sec. I'll just take that, put it over here, and okay. So as I was saying, it really seems that Murphy's Law has hit us hard this year. That everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. But it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. This can be a powerful opportunity for positive growth and personal transformation. We can use this as a chance to propel ourselves forward into a better tomorrow. But before I can get into that whole discussion, roll the intro. This year has been very intense. Not only did the virus hit, but then there's all the fear-mongering about social distancing or else. Then there's riots in the street. The entire eastern coast of the U.S. caught on fire. And by the way, you know what I think about the whole social distancing thing? I think it's completely ridiculous. And this picture here sums it up perfectly. Wear a mask, wash your hands, social distance, stay safe. It's on fire! If your main concern is attempting to keep people from getting sick from a virus that isn't even that dangerous to begin with, then you need to rethink your priorities. And I'm not advocating that you completely neglect other people's well-being. If you frequently spend a significant amount of time around elderly people or immunocompromised people like diabetics, then please, by all means, exercise some caution. But for the average person, for anyone with a functioning immune system, the symptoms of the virus would essentially just be that of a bad flu. You might be bedridden for a few weeks, and that would definitely be unpleasant, but you'll live. You're not gonna die from it. I believe that on a deeper level, everything that seems to be going wrong right now is for a very, very good reason. And what is really going on a metaphysical level, and this may seem a bit esoteric, I know, bear with me here, is that there is so much more energy flooding into this planet than we have ever had access to before. And that new energy is causing this deep-seated, seedy underbelly that's ingrained into the human condition to rise to the surface so that we can see it and understand it and eventually let go of it. What this energy is doing is that it is amplifying everything. It's making everything more intense, so that if you repressed anything, if there's anything about yourself that you push deep down into a dark corner of your mind and you don't want to touch it, you don't want to even acknowledge that it's there, well, too bad. It's gonna make itself known whether you like it or not, because everything is becoming more intense, both the positive and the negative. So what we really need to be doing is what clinical psychologist Carl Jung called shadow work. It is taking the darker, nastier, sketchier aspects of our own psyches that we don't want to acknowledge and not only becoming aware of them, but integrating them into our daily lives. Now, that doesn't mean that you should go off the deep end and become a serial killer or something. What it means is that you need to accept all parts of you, even the parts that you don't like. Believe it or not, it is possible to take anxiety and use it to push you forward. It is possible to take anger and aggression and use them as a source of fuel to protect those you care about. Everything that exists in your being, if it is really you and it's not just some toxic poison that you've adopted from the outside, it's all inherently neutral, and you can use it for good or bad, positive or negative, or chaos. But whatever you choose to do with this new energy, we are moving into a new era where you will no longer be able to lie to yourself. You can either choose to transcend your emotional suffering or continue to give into it. But either way, you're gonna know that it's there. It has been simmering in the background for too long, and now it has reached a boiling point. You've got to do something about it now. As an example of this new energy dynamic, where our old repressed shadows are rising to the surface and we can no longer just ignore it, there was an incident a few months ago, back in June, where I was in the Outer Banks down in Georgia. I was living in a really big house near the beach with my entire extended family. And about the second or third day that I was there, just about everyone in the house collectively decided out of the blue with no warning to just go off to the beach. And I had no idea how to get there. They didn't tell me about it. They just made the decision and went. So I run out of the house and I go running after them. But before I know it, they're already gone. I don't know where they went. So there I go, taking off at a full sprint in the hot, humid sun down this concrete road, wearing flip-flops, attempting to chase after them. And little did I know that they had turned onto a boardwalk right next to the house we were staying in. So under these incredibly unpleasant conditions, I ran more than a mile for no reason at all because I was terrified of missing out. And make no mistake, I was bugging out here. My anxiety levels were going through the roof. But that intense experience that hit me out of the blue helped me to finally come to terms with my old deep-seated fear of missing out. And by the time I got back home, ever since then, I'm just not scared of missing out on things anymore. Or at least it's not nearly as big of an issue as it used to be. And these kinds of intense, transformative experiences have been hitting me left and right. I've been digging up all kinds of deep-seated fears and anxieties and insecurities from years ago that I completely forgot even existed. And this process I've been going through of bringing up my old repressed shadow, it's almost been automatic. I had to put in a little bit of work to actually understand what I was looking at, but I didn't have to actually search for it at all. It just happened. It just came to me. I know it may sound a bit esoteric to think about our thoughts and these different darker aspects of ourselves as almost having a mind of their own, that they're trying to be discovered. But that's really what it feels like. And another thing, in my previous videos I've talked about a book called The Law of One, and in that book, whenever they talked about the problems or roadblocks we encounter in our lives, you know what word they used to describe it? Catalyst. The book didn't call them problems, it didn't call them roadblocks, it didn't even sugarcoat it, calling them challenges or obstacles. It called it a catalyst. The moments in our lives which are the most difficult, which we would prefer to not even happen in the first place, are actually the very same moments that provide us with the perfect opportunity for massive growth and change. In fact, I watched an interesting documentary that was an episode of a show called Missing Links from a website called Gaia that was posted on YouTube by the channel Spirit Science as a promotional tie-in. Link in the doobly-doo. And the message of that video is that there were 3 natural but still very significant cycles that are all overlapping on top of each other right now. Those cycles are economic, human conflict, and climate change. All 3 of these are completely normal. People go through periods of conflict and of peace. The economy has its ups and downs, and the earth goes through cycles of heating and cooling. And right now, we can see the evidence of all of these. Human conflict? Yep, there's riots in the streets. People are shooting each other. There's buildings getting broken into and looted. Economic? A massive recession happened. At least here in the US it did. I can't speak for the whole world. And then climate change? The entire eastern coast of the US caught on fire. That's definitely gotta be a sign that something's gone wacky with the environment. But all of this intense chaos and struggle can serve as a powerful catalyst. This does not have to be a time of negativity. It doesn't have to mean that the world is coming to an end. It can be an opportunity for us to connect with each other on a deeper level than we ever thought possible. And the rabbit hole goes even deeper. Because the top 1%, the people with all the money and all the power and all the influence, the people who have been oppressing and manipulating everyone else, as we move forward, it will increasingly become more and more difficult to keep things hidden. And the elites are no exception to this rule. If you just take a cursory look around, the signs of their manipulation is so obvious. I heard a story back from the early stages of the quarantine where some guy broke into a hospital that they said was packed to the brim and there was no one in it. And all these riots that have been happening on the streets, don't you think it's a bit coincidental that conveniently, while these riots were happening, there just happened to be massive piles of bricks stacked up on the street for people to throw? And these weren't near construction sites or anything. There was no reason for giant piles of bricks to be there. No, those were planted. There is a group of desperate, greedy individuals who are attempting to use all of the last cards they have up their sleeves to continue manipulating us, but they can't hold on to that game forever. In fact, I've heard that a lot of these elites actually had thousands of young children trapped in underground facilities doing very dark and twisted things to them. And those children recently have been freed. They are up on the surface with an opportunity to live relatively normal lives now. And on one hand, I pity those kids because they're definitely traumatized. And I really hope that they can recover speedily and live happy and healthy lives going forward. But think about this symbolically. One of the 1% deepest, darkest secrets has literally been brought to the surface. It's a literal physical manifestation of the energy dynamics that are all around us right now. The fact is, as powerful as the top 1% may think they are, they're just people. They may have a lot of money, and with that money comes resources. That's true. But 99% of the power and influence they have, they only possess because everyone else agrees that they do. We outweigh them 1,000,000 to 1. And if we all just collectively agreed to stop following their orders, there's nothing they could do about it. And there's another angle to all of this too. I haven't even touched on this yet. I believe that the old systems are breaking down in order to make way for new systems to rise up and take their place. It's like if you had an old building that's not really serving its function anymore, and you want to put in a new one instead. Now, let's say that the old building was a casino, and the new one is a children's hospital. Now, the casino, that's a place of greed and bad decision making, where people let their egos run the show and they do things they shouldn't for the sake of a cheap thrill. And then a children's hospital is a place of healing and restoration. It's a place to recover. And symbolically, the casino is being destroyed so that we can build a children's hospital in its place. You can't just build the hospital on top of the casino. No. The old systems are breaking down. And right now, we're in the middle of an awkward transitionary phase where the old casino is gone and the hospital has yet to be built. So all we're left with is rubble. And I know that can seem scary, but from that rubble, we can construct something new and better, something useful, something that will propel us forward into a brighter tomorrow. And that is the crucial message I am attempting to convey in this video. Your life is what you make of it. All this intense catalyst that surrounds us in every direction can be either positive or negative. It can be a source of suffering or growth and transformation. It's up to you. So, as always, I wish you well, my friends, and may peace and love flow through you always.